dsc.baconicecream.com.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Evercast. You can see for right now, it's just me and Crow.
Yeah, where's everybody?
Yeah,
I got out of bed for this.
Yeah, well, yep, so who knows, people may join later. Other, personal family stuff came up, so y'all may just be stuck with both of us.
I think Rich has an excuse. I've not heard from Pete.
Yeah, he's MIA. All right, so yeah, this is the first show of the new year. Exciting stuff. Yeah, we wish there was new Evercade news, but we can kind of talk about maybe what we're hoping to hear or whatnot.
So, are you now officially in running the podcast now, or is it going to be like next week?
I think by the end of this month, I'll be hosting it. Yeah, I'm glad you brought. We'll be moving it over, and I think something we'll talk talk about like that at the end of each week to let people know, and as time gets closer and whatnot. But yeah, I think that's the goal by the end of this month. Get everything moved over. Plenty of time for transition, and give me some time to make the assets and
time to make the assets
and all that and all that good stuff. So let's say hello to the chat. Who do we got here? We got Sergeant Billy, Lord JRM,
Bilby.
Sorry. We got.
I threw you off now.
It's all good. It's all good. Jason Shears. We get Jillian D in the house. Oh, clicked on the wrong one. Sorry about that. Hey, Carson. Yep, ends up people talking about cartridges like to see. Of course, that's that's like part of the fun. And then who do we have? Christian Cameron, first time being live. Welcome.
That means the other times he was here, he was dead.
Oh, you're right. So maybe he's undead. Dave Lister is here. Early, first time in history. Let's see. We got Daniel Perez Dominicus, and I apologize if I did not get that right. And we have Lemony Pie.
Mm-hmm. Or is it Michelangelo? We don't know.
And who else knew? And we got Skill Tricks, and we got Casey Dial. Sorry about that. Got Ian Hobbies, Dan Ruff, and we got Phantom Fiction. And Douglas is like, so is it still Evercade? Will it still be on the Evercade? So will this be on the Evercade effect? Oh my! You know what? I've got my coffee and it's early, and yes, yeah, it'll be moved over to the Evercade effect channel and all that. Let's see who else. Dub64. Oh, it's buzzing. That's what we like, and yeah. So it'll still. So yeah, just to touch on them, it'll still be moved over here. And then so I kind of talked about this with Rich, although technically I'll be the host. I still want Rich to do his thing. I want everybody to still do their things, but yeah, I'll be the one responsible for doing the thumbnail and getting it ready and beating stuff and all that. And oh wow, Retro an early.
Okay.
An early Retro KillDashNine. This might be like the first earliest.
Maybe Pete's waiting until after this part.
It could be. All right, we'll do this one. This one's always fun.
Retro KillDashNine!
Retro KillDashNine!
To start off the new year, it's a dog. Yeah. So.
Start off the new year with a dog.
I know everybody loves that. That's like the best.
Well, how many more of those are you going to make?
You know what? I don't know, but I need to get on that. Yeah, Douglas loves the dog. I've been like slacking in shorts. Well, but you know how it is. It gets to be the new year, so it's an interesting time where still kind of in that lull, like waiting. The dog is good, waiting for new Evercade content. Finding things to talk about. There's also stuff like in the secondary channel And so, lots of things, limited time, and all that.
When you always say secondary channel, I forget it's the Calling All Retro Gamers channel.
Yeah. Hey John, hey Rob. Yeah, I know. Or Karg for short. Because it's one of those things where since my you split up your channels too, but there's other than Evercade, love other things retro and video game related, like to talk about other things and have different things going, but it's like you don't want to have too many things going. Although, so Rich isn't here. So one other thing I did want to bring up for those of you who may have watched his video yesterday, he actually went back to playing Golden Axe Warrior. Like he did a quick 10-minute video to set everything up. And so hopefully he'll be able to hit that hard, and then on the next card there'll either be a guest or, maybe we'll do the final dungeon live because I really wanted to do that. Oh, you know what? Oh, duh. That's right. Pete said he wasn't going to be here. Oh, thank you.
Well, why didn't he remind us? He knows I don't have the memory retention to remember things from a day ago, let alone last week.
That's right. Yeah, he said he had a guy and a thing, and that's right. Yeah, thank you. See, I love our viewers. They remember. They remember stuff. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. That's right. He said he would. That's right. He said he had a thing. And then Rich had a family thing come up and all that. Yes, I love that. I love that dual card. So yeah, kicking it off here in the in the new year and all that. I know everybody we were hoping to expect news. Like talking a little bit on the Discord. I know people were at least wanting to know the first cards. When do you remember, Crow? When did they actually, like last year? When did they give us the actual lineup?
I couldn't remember that.
Yeah, I couldn't either. I thought it was January. I could have been wrong. I thought they do that like at the very beginning of the year. Give us the layout where they just when they announced. I thought it was when they announced the first two cards and then they show us the layouts and they just give us like the colors of the outlines so we can know the quantity and what to expect.
It's interesting because we only know of one cartridge that's coming out, and it's going to be in January. They haven't announced anything else, so. I would think sometime soon, within the next couple of weeks, there would have to be something.
Yeah, definitely. And what's interesting about that is, do you consider Indie Heroes to be a 2022 release or a 2023 release?
To me, it's 2023 because it's releasing in 2023. Yeah, and they may put it on their roadmap for 2022, but that's not the way calendars work. Well, unless you go by fiscal year, but still, they're not going by fiscal year.
No. Yeah, see, that's what I was going by. I'm like, I think it was planned for a 2022, but yeah, technically it is a 2023 release. And I think when they said last time that they had 11 cards lined up, then I think that gives us plus Indie Heroes are 12. And we know we for sure know Amiga is coming, but I'm curious how many green or blue collections. I keep thinking green.
Well, it could be like 20 Amiga collections and 20 C64 collections.
You know what? So a little bit of, it could be. So a little bit of speculation. I remember, I think it was Sean. I don't know if it was in Discord or if it was here. He did say that the Indie Heroes collection wouldn't necessarily be the red card. Or he worded it in a way like it could be like an Indie Heroes computer collection or something.
You mean another Indie Heroes could be a not the next one.
Well, see, but he was very he was very vague about that.
No, it can't be the next one. We already know what the next one looks like.
Oh, well, it can't be Indie Heroes. Well, Indie Heroes 3 I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, should have been more. Yeah. Obviously, it can't be Indie Heroes 2. DOS games, Turbo Graphics. But I think that would be pretty neat. Like if it was just like a homebrew, aftermarket indie game, like a computer collection, like that could be pretty neat. And it could be across all systems, and there would be a lot of flexibility.
What's weird is if you're looking at computer games being indie games, there's like hundreds of times more of those than there are for consoles.
Yeah,
because anybody could just it's far easier for somebody to write a game for a computer, I would believe, than especially if you're looking at like a Windows or something that could be converted to work on the Evercade, in native mode, like Cathedral.
Yeah, no, that's true. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. More games to pull from, and
so that brings up an interesting point, though. Is Alwa's Awakening and Cathedral, yeah, it's in the red package, which is a console release, but those games are on PC too. So it's where do you chalk it up? Is that really a computer release, or is that a well, actually, Alwa's
Yeah.
Awakening, I'm sorry, the version of it on there is the NES version. So that one is definitely a console. But Cathedral, since it's native,
Yes.
that could be PC.
True. Yeah. So it's kind of like the lines get blurred. You know what I mean?
But the original version of Alwa's Awakening was the same deal. It was made it's on Steam, and it was on other consoles as well. So, but the version we got is the 8-bit edition, which is definitely NES.
Yes. Yes.
In fact, when you buy it on Steam, you have to have Alwa's Awakening already to get the 8-bit edition, and then when you buy it, I think you need to run it in an NES emulator.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, for sure. Now, what would be amazing? I don't know how many games I'd be able to get, but like imagine like an Indie Heroes arcade collection, because we do see like Xeno Crisis. They did make a port of that to like the Neo Geo, and sometimes there's like a few other like modern like Neo Geo games. And
now, yeah, Neo Geo is kind of a gray area when it comes to like arcade or home console because it's both at the same time. So you could actually say that that's console. I guess it depends on. Like if we got a Neo Geo collection, would it be an arcade release or would it be a console release? I think it would depend on the BIOS settings that they used for those games.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Or if it's a UniBIOS, but I don't know who that they could use that.
Well,
commercially.
Yeah.
So there's like.
Oh, that would be interesting though if you could set it up and select which version of the game you could. Which is, I mean, it's funny because if I had a Neo Geo with a UniBIOS at one point. And it's funny because you plug the cartridge in and you decide what version of the game you want to play because every version was on the cartridge.
Yeah. So real quick, so Billy, Namco Arcade, that would be great. Mr. Driller, Star Trigon, not one I'm not as familiar with. Yeah, no, Mr. Driller. That just even like Namco Arcade, although it's hard to say because it depends, what deals they have. That Namco has, like with Arcade 1-Up. We know they're coming out with like the new Miss Pac-Mans. But yeah, no, I would love to see Namco Arcade regardless.
Well, before we get a Namco Arcade, before I even start thinking about a Namco Arcade, I would start thinking about, hey, when's Namco, the collections we already have Namco related, available to play on the VS? When are they going to be able to like potentially get that license to be able to play it on a console?
True, we haven't even had that. Indie Shmups, yeah! That would be great. So here's one thing that with the recent announcement of like that new Atari My Arcade console, I like GoGameGo. I don't know if you all may have not. He put out a quick video where someone sent him like a screenshot that showed like some Activision Atari 2600 games like on like one of the no surprise there, but I think that may just like put the nail in the coffin for us getting it on Evercade is what I'm trying to say.
No, how so? Wait, what?
Well, because because if Atari's trying to promote like this other console, they may not be willing to give the licenses to put it for us.
Well, Atari's not promoting the console; they're providing a license to My Arcade, and they're not. I mean, look at how many things that Atari's putting their stuff out on. I don't think they're limiting it to just one device.
That's true, because Atari, but it depends on the license. Unless Activision is like, well, no, you can only have, you know what I mean. So I guess it would be, or maybe it doesn't.
A lot of the games that they're already announcing on these My Arcade devices, which aren't finalized, by the way, they are already games we already have on the Evercade for the most part.
Good point. So good. I really hope I'm wrong about that because I would love. I like that. You're the shmup. That would be. That would be fantastic, for sure. But yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting. That would be impossible. But I hear you.
Atari 50.
Yeah.
Well, you mean on the Evercade?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we already have more than 50 games on the Atari. So.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, on the Evercade through the 3 Atari collections.
Yeah.
But I don't see Jaguar games going to the Evercade. I wouldn't be excited for that either. I'm not a big fan of Jaguar games. I don't know why all of a sudden everybody became a big fan of the Jaguar.
Yeah, but kind of what I want. Although Somberg has some good aftermarket like Jaguar games that I wouldn't mind throwing on an.
But a lot of times the games they're putting on a Jaguar, they're putting on other platforms as well. It's not solely the Jaguar.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like sometimes they're just like, hey, well, this technically could have been like on Genesis, but just like threw it on there because it's cooler to have on a Jaguar.
And more SNES and PS1 games.
Mate, yeah.
PS1 games, yeah.
Yeah. Good PS1 games. Sorry. You know, something that will like blow me away. Like give me like the Tekken version or something, you know. Give me like Tekken 3.
Well, that would be Namco.
Oh yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. It's like all the good games are then. So I think so for this year, but yeah, so definitely I want to see like more indie. Whether it's, you know, whether we get something like a Morph Cat collection, and we're gonna get Indie Heroes 2, another, you know, a couple more dual carts would just be fantastic. Like I really want to see that. But I think for indie, like it'd be nice to get something that, you know, that's either like more unknown on Steam or something like Paprium that's difficult.
Isn't Jungle Hunt a Taito game?
Jungle
I mean,
Hunt.
it was on the Atari, but I think Jungle Hunt was a Taito game.
It might be. Why
Here,
don't you check
look that up? I know it's not Atari.
Yeah. It's a third. Yeah, that's a third party.
It is Taito. And there were other versions of Jungle Hunt as well. There was Jungle King, which I think was the original version because they had to get rid of the Tarzan reference. They had the Tarzan yell, which turned out to be copyright.
Oh yeah, that's so weird. Yeah, Final Vendetta, like that. Yeah, stuff like that would be.
And then there was a pirate version of it too. It was the same thing except it was reskinned with pirates.
PC Engine games.
Pirate Pete, I think it was called. It's the same game. Yeah, Pirate Pete. Yeah, Jungle King, Jungle Hunt, and Pirate Pete, all the same game, all originally from Taito.
So that's a good question. I think that as far as running, I think it depends on the Saturn game and it depends on the code of the emulator. I think, you know what I mean. Like I think it, you know.
Oh yeah, like Dodonpachi. Yeah.
Ooh.
Or, you know, did I say Dodonpachi? Donpachi is the original. Yeah. Dodonpachi is a sequel.
Yeah, or I wonder if they would just use the arcade version of that. Konami? Oh, yes. Konami would be...
Honestly, at this point, since we're getting arcade versions of games, I don't really want to see an inferior port on a console of an arcade game when we could have just gotten the arcade game.
I agree with you. Unless it's a situation where it's like Double Dragon 1 and 2. Where
well, yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
Where they're completely different, that's a different story. But if it's like let's use Jungle Hunt as an example. Why give us the Atari 2600 version of Jungle Hunt when we could get the arcade version of Jungle Hunt?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I think the only reason they do
that is
for nostalgia.
And here's the bonus. I believe that game could be played in Tate mode. I believe it had a vertical screen.
That would be nice. Or yeah, because if they do an arcade collection, then I guess they couldn't also just like throw the 2600 version on there. So it's No, I hear you.
What if they had a collection that had an arcade version and a console version on there? What collection would that be in? I believe they're trying to avoid that kind of.
Yeah. Well, you know what they would have to do? They'd have to have a cart that would be like half purple and half red.
Well, how would you number it?
Yeah, I know.
It would have two numbers, 10.5 and 3.2. I don't know.
Yeah, I know that would be tricky. Or like if it's like cart number 30, put the 3 on one side and the 0. Yeah, I know what you mean. It would be a weird. Yeah, I don't know how they would do that. But I think
that's why I don't think they would do that because it would throw everything off.
So yes, RMGB TV. So kind of funny because I think on the last one I was talking about that. Like, let's say maybe when they did the deal with Capcom, that maybe they got the license for some other games like a Breath of Fire, or we just don't know it yet. And in a future update, they may give us more. They may give us like a couple more of these bonus games this year. That would be excellent. I
wonder how much extra space there is on the Evercade EXP that's not being used.
Well, So
And even the VS for that matter.
well, I mean, okay. So since we're both computer guys, I'll speculate. So we know on the VS it's like 250 megs, and then what on the EXP it's like 350. Like for the updates, I think, at least from what people have said.
Oh, from the updates, yeah, they're
Yeah.
around 300 megs. But that's not always adding on 300 megs. They could be removing the previous 300 megs and replacing that.
Yes. So I suspect one or two things. That I think that's probably the total. I think that's the total size, and they might have like your main firmware update. I don't know if they have like a backup partition that has like your previous version always stored. But that's, you know what I mean. That's what I kind of.
I believe there would be a factory reset. To pull from somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd want to say that like on the VS, like I want to say it's like 500, probably like a total of 500 megs for right now. You know, double whatever the initial size is, and double that for the EXP, and then we have like what the EXP is. What, 4? Is it 4 gigs on both, or is it 2 gigs on the EXP? I can't remember.
Well, I don't know that. I'm not.
Yeah.
I didn't get that far into the specs. I haven't
Yeah.
opened it up yet.
Yeah, but the thing is though, when you throw like Nintendo games take up almost like nothing. I mean, like I think like the entire ROM collection of Nintendo is maybe like 600 megs. Sorry. Yeah. You know.
Actually, I could tell you that. Let's see.
You know what I mean? It's still like games. What I do think we need this year, no matter what, because of what Evercade is and to preserve video game history, like for the love of God, give us a Master System collection in some form. You know what I mean? Because that I feel is like the one console where like the majority of the mainstream like probably don't want that, like a Genesis, but like people who are in the Evercade ecosystem do. Like we all want that. We want that nostalgia. I never grew up having a Master System or knowing anyone that had it, but like I love watching Rich play it. Like, you know what I mean? Like that would be.
Or it doesn't even have to be like a Master System collection. What if there was like an Alex Kidd collection?
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Douglas. Yeah, 4 gigs. So, I mean, that's plenty of. I mean, that's plenty of room. Right? Yes. I mean, that would be, that would be just, and here's the other reason why. So, the other reason why I think it's ridiculous we don't have it yet is because, like, we've talked. I think we've beat this drum to death, but we'll continue to. That like 90% or more of the licenses on the Master System are owned by Sega. Mm-hmm. So it would not the licensing. It's like if Sega just says yes, it's like unless it's maybe I mean, game like Alf or something, we can
Well, Elf has additional licenses on top of Sega.
Yeah.
And plus, you don't want Elf on the Master System.
No, it's a horrible game. But that's the only thing I can. That's the only thing I can think of that came to my head. But yeah, like an Alex Kidd collect, that would be a step in the right.
Well, I mean, you could because there's a couple of Master System games. There's a how many? I don't know how many. Is there only one Genesis game? I can't remember now. But the thing is, there's an arcade game too. But then again, you wouldn't be able to include that without it being considered an arcade cart.
Yeah, like Fantasies. Yeah. So like for me, really though.
Oh yeah, man. If there was a Phantasy Star collection, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, that would be. Oh, he said Fantasy Zone, but yeah, Fantasy.
There you go.
We'll
That's
take that too.
Hundreds of hours of gameplay right there.
But see, for me, like I kind of would want that spread out. Like I would love like the original Phantasy Star to be included in a Master System collection, and then later on, like have it, kind of have them spread out to give variety. But yeah, I wouldn't say no to a Master System collection.
Is there a collection you would say no to?
I'll let I think I'll let you or the chat guess. Yes, I think there's one that's a type of a collection, like a genre of games. I would say a big no to, and then there's a particular collection that came out last year that I don't want to see the second one to.
You're not talking about the Worms collection.
No. That's Pete. That's Pete. Like that's no. I would welcome Worms over. Yes, thank you.
Over which one?
Gremlin 2.
Oh, Gremlin. Yeah, that's right, Gremlin. You know what though? You might be okay with a Gremlin 2 because there are better games I feel that Gremlin made that they didn't put on. There's Commodore 64 games Gremlin produced, but then again, that would be a computer collection, I guess.
So the funny thing is, but here's the thing though: if they do come out a Gremlin 2 collection, I will find that so hilarious because I'll feel like Sean's personally trolling me.
Well, even before we got the Gremlin collection, we already got games from Gremlin in other collections.
Yeah, like Top Racer. I think that one.
It was originally Top Gear. They change it to Top Racer. That's a good. I really like that one. I like both of them.
See that, like PS1, or that would be
Loaded. Yeah, that's another really good one. Well, I don't know if it could be considered good these days. I remember being a really popular early PS1 title.
that, and like I just don't want like a sports collection. Like, come on, like my opinion, like we already have collections like that have too many.
That depends. Like I'm okay with sports games as long as they're good. I haven't seen a good baseball game yet on the Evercade.
I would be okay. So I would be fine with this because I think EA owns the rights to like the Mutant League hockey game, Mutant League football. I think they own.
Who owns it?
Because I saw on Discord
it's Electronic Arts.
Somebody said that like they blocked. Yeah, but I would be fine like if there was a collection that had both the Mutant League games on it. And I forget if those are their arcade. If there's arcade ports, I'd rather have that. But I would be fine.
NES games about 900 megs.
Oh, okay. Maybe with like all the clones and the hacks. Okay, but it's under.
And that's none of them are, and that's not zipped up even. I think.
Yeah. So I mean, there's plenty of room. And speaking of which, of like because how small the games are. If y'all haven't, look on YouTube for the Micro Mages video. I think it's called like how they fit Micro Mages like on like a 40K.
Yes, that's a good video. And you know what I'm realizing too, that 900 megs is including all regional variants and also hacks. So it'd actually be considerably less than that.
Okay, because the reason I came up with a number of around 600, 650s, I remember back in the day when we used to burn stuff to CDRs, like you could fit the whole like NES collection.
Well, I mean, and then there's different revisions here too. So a single game could be here like 10 times over at least.
Yeah. So, but there's plenty of space for
look, I have that. Like at least how many versions here? 14 versions of Tecmo Bowl.
Wow.
Because there's the prototype, there's a couple revisions, there's a Japanese version, and then all the hacked versions with all these different rosters.
Yeah. So definitely, continue with the indies. I'd like to see TurboGrafx make an appearance.
Yes.
Matter of fact, if they did like a TurboGrafx like shmup collection, that would be beautiful.
But I think if not most of the NEC stuff is owned by Konami, so we would actually need to see. So if that were to happen, hey, we could get some Konami games too.
Yeah. Need Ninja Gaiden and
because think about like. There's a whole bunch of Konami collections they've been putting out. There's the Contra one. There's three Castlevania ones, I think, maybe. The one that'd be really interesting on the Evercade would be the Castlevania Advance Collection, which would be the portable versions.
That's the one that I
it'd be interesting is like with the DS versions, you have to have two screens. I wonder. Ooh. If they would be able to do it side by side, if we could get Nintendo DS games on the Evercade side by side, or switch it into Tate mode, and then you could have the one screen actually on top of the other.
Dude, that would be cool. But so here's what I want them to do for Castlevania, like kind of like what they did with the Capcom. So that one collection that has like the GBA and all that. What I want them to add to it is there's a multi-cart. I think it's a Game Boy Color cart that has like all the original like Game Boy games, but they're like all like in color or something like that. But yeah, I would love that. And then I think the other I know like on PS4 they did like a dual collection that has like a PS1 version of Castlevania, and then the definitive version of Castlevania.
Look at my Steam library because I think I have all of them there
for TurboGrafx 16. Which, man, this coffee really isn't doing it.
Oh, that was something I actually just got recently. That would be awesome. An awesome dual cart for the Evercade would be the same cartridge, the same games I just got on the PS4. It's a combination of Castlevania Rondo of Blood and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Both of those games together because one follows right after the other one.
Yes. Yeah,
And those
yeah.
both those games, you could play those forever. Those
Yeah.
are the original. Well, I think Symphony of the Night is the original Metroidvania.
I played Rondo of Blood again before I played Symphony of the Night. And no, the thing that's interesting, what's so important about Rondo of Blood too, is that's like going from that point on. That's where like that's where they got all their assets. Like that, that kind of like set the standard. So yeah, it's like so good.
See here, Castlevania Anniversary Collection. I know there's an advanced one that I didn't get. There's a Contra Anniversary Collection.
I got that on PS4, and I got that arcade collection of like Gradius, and I've almost thought about getting those again on the Steam Deck. I'm not sure, but yeah, I've got.
Oh, I actually have most of these on the Switch, and I know I have Contra Anniversary Collection ordered for the Switch. I just haven't gotten it.
Not sure. Not sure if I would want Myst for one reason, that you need a mouse to play that game, because that is a point. I know there's like a PS1 version, but yeah.
Okay, you could simulate a mouse with a D-pad and a buttons or whatever, but with the Evercade VS, why not give us mouse support?
Yes, yeah.
all mice have a USB plug.
Here's the only thing, and I have a port of that on the Capcom collection for GBA, and they had to do that. They removed the theme song, which is a shame. I mean, it's still cool, but they had to
wait a minute. They had to remove the Frogger theme song,
or they had to change it because that's that's a license.
I think they had actually changed it.
And they changed it, yeah.
long ago. Like they had to change it in a certain revision back in the 80s, I think, because that's how soon that had to be changed.
Alien Crush, yeah.
Oh yeah, well, Alien Crush. Actually, if we're getting Alien Crush, then we have to get Devil's Crush.
Yes,
and then if we're getting those two, then we have to get Jackie's Crush, which is actually on the Super Nintendo, or it's actually on the Super Famicom. It's actually the third Crush game. And then why not go with Dragon's Fury on the Genesis, which is the Genesis version of Demon's Crush. And then Dragon's Revenge, which is the sequel to Dragon's Fury.
All the Crush games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
they could call it the Crush Collection.
The Crush, yeah. But of course,
or the Nagzak Collection.
I think realistically, what we're gonna get for at least for one of the cards to start off strong, I hope we get. It's gonna be something. I think weird, like an Odyssey 2 collection or some other game, some other collection.
We can't. No, that'd be another collection with an on board keyboard. Because the keyboard was built into the Odyssey 2.
Or maybe for a computer, but I know that
it's not considered a computer. It's a weird thing.
Okay,
the Odyssey 2 isn't considered a computer, but it still had a keyboard.
That is weird, but you know what I mean. I think one of those announcements will be some off the wall collection of games we've never heard of before. That's what I hope. And then I think that maybe the second collection might be something that's more nostalgic, and maybe maybe a Konami or TG16, something we're familiar with. I'm hoping so, or it'll probably be an Amiga collection. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I wish we could get an Taito arcade collection. You could do so many Taito arcade collections. They got tons of popular games that you got Space Invaders. That would have to be in the first one. I personally like to see Zookeeper.
Yes.
There's Bubble Bobble. I think that's Taito. Yeah. And then you could even go with Puzzle Bobble, which is a bit later. But
that's the one where they shoot the rainbows, right?
Arkanoid, which might be tough without a spinner, but
dude, I love on Spotify. I want to I don't know. There's a badass Arkanoid the theme song. I love.
Oh, you don't even know how many different remixes of the Arkanoid theme song I have, especially the Commodore 64 version.
But yeah, no, I love that. That's what Breakout's cousin. I don't know, but yeah, I love
Frontline. I'm trying to think now because on the At Games Legends Pinball, there were 3 Taito pinball collections, which were pinball tables based off of Taito games.
2 games. So I think
it was Frontline, Darius, of course. We gotta get Darius.
Yeah. No, I think realistically, because arcade usually we have 5 or 6. I think it would a title card, even if it was like 4 or 5. I'd be fine with less is more, as I always say. I'd be fine with that. Rainbow Islands, thank you. That was the game where the little boy shoots. Thank you. That's what I couldn't.
Yeah,
think of.
the Bubble Bobble series has an interesting timeline because as the sequels progressed, they split off. Even with the second game in the Bubble Bobble series, there are a bunch of sequels that of different people made. There was the Bubble Symphony, I think, was the third game.
Yeah,
but Parasol Stars, Rainbow Islands. There's and then there's actually Bubble Bobble Part 2 on the NES, which actually is a really expensive cart.
For me though, like you said earlier, just give me I want the arcade like Taito, give me just the arcade versions, please.
Yeah, I would like to see if there was an Taito arcade cart. Bubble Bobble would have to be on the first one, number 1.
Like Bubble Bobble.
Then if they did a second one, then they could do some other Bubble Bobble game.
yeah. Like Zookeeper. Yeah, some other. Yeah, I would like to spread them out. But yeah, definitely Taito. We need. Oh yeah.
I think I'd actually prefer a Taito collection over a Neo Geo collection at this point.
No, that's a fair statement because. Yeah, Taito definitely in its way is just like so many magical arcade games, and yeah, definitely wouldn't go wrong with Taito. But yeah, Neo Geo, of course, that's always. Oh, so that's okay.
Oh, don't call Puzzle Bobble Bust a Move. I never liked that name change. And what made it worse was that there was actually a game called Bust a Move in Japan, and when it came over here, they had to rename it Bust a Groove because somebody decided Bust a Move was a good name for Puzzle Bobble.
No, I was gonna say early where you talked about like having like some type of a Neo Geo. I was gonna say way back in like the early 2000s, I had bought off of eBay. Like somebody had just taken like an MVS and just like mounted it on some like clear plastic, and that had like the Unibios on it, and you could put it in one game. But like,
yeah.
I ended up. I think back then, like I ended up selling. I think I got that for like 150. I'm making a profit off of that. Got a few games, and then like. I bought like cases that you could like use to put in those games, and I remember selling them for like even more to like some dude in Germany. So like that I have the mixed feelings about because that thing, I mean, it worked. It was a little bit janky because it was very like it was like mounted on some type of acrylic, and then it had like Unibios like 2 point something, But it was fun. It was neat being able to pop in and play those other games and use the joystick, and I got a little bit obsessed and ended up making more money. But it was fine. I think I sold it because I needed it. I think that. My now wife, girlfriend at the time, we needed maybe to move into a house. Can't remember, but yeah, it is neat like owning those. But yeah, but that's like the magic of Evercade though, having the carts, right? That's like their.
Oh yeah. It's definitely it's a collection thing. I mean, if you wanted to play these games, you could easily do it without an Evercade or a cartridge. But
so that's the thing. To be perfectly honest, that guy behind, spending some time with like the Steam Deck, it's like, yeah, like definitely you can download and play them, but what makes Evercade special is having that physical media. It's because I know from time to time there's like concerns of going to an online shop, and they say never say. I know that's the one that Evercade will never do. They'll never.
Having the collections helps you focus in on things to play.
Yes,
because without that limited choice, you're then left with thousands of games. And you're gonna miss something along the way.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And it's neat having the physical media, and it is nice being able to pop in a game and not necessarily having sometimes maybe you don't want to mess with an OS or anything else. But like, so funny that you mentioned that because it's funny too bad.
Oh yeah, Groove Coaster is a Taito property too. I forgot about that. I don't think that would be on the Evercade. That requires two things to control.
Too bad Rich isn't here because he does his Fun for Fives and he does like the VCS, which a lot of those, to your point, Carl, a lot of those games are on Steam, and right now there's like 46 or 47 of them, and then it was like Orange Pixel, they've got like a ton of games. I never even heard of them before.
I forgot Raystorm was a Taito property too.
Yeah, and so, but to your point, like when there's less, you can kind of weed through the things of the Steam store, like or like any online store has so much stuff. So yeah, it's neat to see games from another console, but something like I can play it. Of course, everything Evercade I'm going to play on Evercade.
They made a Space Invaders pinball for mobile phone. Huh.
Exactly. So for me, here's kind of here's kind of the interesting thing with all that. So kind of before like a Steam Deck, I'm sorry, before getting a Steam Deck, I know I was like, I want online leaderboards and all of that. Now, you know what? Because they're two separate ecosystems for me, and I think everybody, and I kind of understand when we were, for people who have like, let's say another main console, like, well, it would be nice. It's not as much of a priority for me because if I do want to play online, I do have other means. Like, I don't mind that as much, like not having friend lists, because Blaze is a smaller company, and I feel like if they do too much too fast, you know what I mean? Then they're going to have to,
Well, it would be nice since we're now starting to get stats on how much time we've played each game. It'd be interesting if they could, at some point, do profiles for people, and so you join friends. You do it much like Steam, where you could click on somebody and see what they've been playing or how long they've been playing it. So that
yeah. No, I'm saying that would be neat, and like being able to play online and leaderboards. I just think for me, it's not as much of a priority, because here's the thing that I really want, Evercade to focus on, is that they'll be good, and they'll come out. The carts will be good, and then there'll be something weird like how the C64 cart had that bug where on the VS you could, you know what I mean? Like there'll be some type of bug that breaks some games.
Wait, which bug are you talking about for the C64?
There was a bug where like, after like it would happen with random games, like you just couldn't load the game anymore. Like it would start and then it wouldn't even go to a black screen.
Huh? That's weird, because I hadn't had that problem, but I did have bugs with summer games while I was playing it.
Yeah, it was random. Like the handheld was fine, and like some of the games, like they would work, and then you know what I mean. Like every now and then it'll be something strange, or like a particular game won't load, or there'll be like a game breaking bug, and then they'll patch it, which is great. But I think for me, if anything, like when the carts, here's what I want Evercade to do. I want the carts to come out. I want them to come out on time, and I don't want any bugs. You know what I mean? Like,
it doesn't matter to me if they come out on time or not. Just with as few of errors as possible.
Yes.
And if there are errors, I kind of wish they would fix some of them sooner rather than later. I still don't know what the deal is with Asteroids Deluxe. We still don't have Asteroids Deluxe. That's over a year now, and there's been no word on if that's even going to be fixed. If you're not going to fix it, at least say, "Oh, we're not going to fix it." Yeah. But
now the one thing
the bizarre thing, and also there's been issues with the Atari games, the Atari 2600 games that I've pointed out, and have never been fixed. Steeplechase still isn't playable because you're supposed to be able to control how high the horse jumps, because it's a paddle game. You're supposed to be able to turn the dial to adjust how high to jump. But with the Evercade version, they didn't include that functionality. It's just jump. So you can't win any race beyond the first one.
Yeah, there's weird. So it's kind of funny, Jace, because I kind of feel like that. Like there's and that's kind of where I was going back to where I feel like there's some and that's why I know it sounds kind of silly, but I feel like with the collections, maybe with the exception of Pico, that when you get to that high count of like games, sometimes they kind of feel like that. Like the arcade collections have all been solid. They have like 6 games, at the most. That dual cart that we got, both of those games are solid.
I wouldn't say that all the arcade collections have been solid.
Well, Atari just because of the controls, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you can't provide us with a way to control the game in a manner that makes it playable, you shouldn't include those games. So until we get some sort of spinner or trackball device, Atari collection is just the Atari arcade one is going to be the worst arcade collection until that happens.
Yeah, I agree. Like even kind of before we were talking about before the show, I was like telling Crow that I was going through Atari 50 on the Steam Deck and playing like the arcade versions of like Centipede and Millipede. Actually, wasn't that bad with an analog stick. Now you could probably use an analog stick on the VS and be the same thing.
There's been a ways to play Centipede and Millipede with a D-pad and still be fine. But it's just the way you can kind of translate that. With the Atari Arcade 1, Centipede, Millipede, they didn't translate very well to a D-pad. They didn't,
No, not at all.
They need to tweak that to make it a little bit more better. They could do it because, I mean, look at how many different ports of that game have been put onto consoles that didn't have a trackball and they still play fine. We even got them on the original Atari collections with like the Atari 2600 version of Centipede and Millipede.
Yeah, and those play, like if you can overlook the graphics, like those play freaking great. But yeah, so like even like I know, like for me, like I love the Morph Cat collection. I know there's those kind of mixed feelings about how there's only maybe like 2 or 3 games, but for me, like I love that experience. Everything was solid. Yeah, even Bat Punch or whatever, even that was like such a short game, but still that was kind of thrown in there. Like I love that. But like, yeah, the C64 was kind of, and I understand they'll put something like Intellivision 2 on there because like there's people that really want that for nostalgia, but
hey, I liked the Intellivision collection too, and I wasn't nostalgic for any of those games. I'd never played any of them before, and I thought it was a good collection. Tower of Doom is probably the best game on that collection, but yeah, I know everybody came out with videos that kind of like thought that the whole collection as a whole was crap, but then like months later I put out my video without realizing that that's what everybody did, and like, hey, this is not bad.
Well, and it's just, but see, sometimes going to go back like a little bit, like you have like something like Mega Cats 1 or Pico 1, and then Pico 2, then like something like Pico 2 wasn't nearly as good. Maybe they put all their best games on the first, on the first collection.
Yeah, I mean there were a lot of not that great games on Intellivision Collection 2, but the top 3 games I had were Tower of Doom, Cloudy Mountain, and Mountain Madness. And those 3 alone, if I'm putting those in, I'm going to play those.
Oh, hey Al. No, we forgot the beginning. Like Pete told us he had some stuff. Last, wasn't able to make this one. I totally forget why. And then Rich had like some family things come up, so it's all good. So
I'm gonna step away for a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go for it. So it just depends on your gaming habits, right? So like for me, so for me, my Evercade journey, it was like all about like the Namcos and it was all about the nostalgia. And then it slowly started to shift over to Discovery. And then it started to shift to, hey, I want to play these games I've never played before. And then, initially like, I knocked Indie Heroes 1 and then I fell back in love with it. So for me, like I've had a shift in indie games, like indie and arcade games. Those I love the most because I love the experiences, because with both of those type of games, you're going to complete them. They're shorter games, and arcade games speak for themselves. I don't think in indie games, they're just different. And then I'm like, well, I like playing games I've never played before. And then I like high quality indie games like Owl's Revenge and Cathedral. Cathedral just blew my mind. Like that's like the first native game. So for me, admittedly, because of that, like something, and then I like the C64 collection, like, that was just kind of meh for me because I'm looking for those new and different, and different experiences, because it's just kind of like, there's a reason, like, why haven't I like loaded up, like, I love Mario, I love Zelda and all those, but I haven't loaded them up. I haven't kept emulation on my Steam Deck for a reason, right? Because while I respect and I love a lot of those games, I want new experiences. I do want those games that I've never played before, but at the same time, I would welcome something like a Neo Geo because that's like classic enough. Yeah, Discovery. That's what I call like the Evercade experience. You're like, how some people pay for subscription boxes or loot crates. For me, Evercade is like, hey, here's this curated collection that's on physical media. You get to keep it. You have a manual. There's Discovery. It's a whole thing. Like I love that, and no one else is like really capturing like that.
That would be hilarious. An Evercade cartridge that's like a loot box. You buy it without knowing what games are on it, and you don't know until you put the cartridge in.
Like if they just, dude. I mean, if they did like a mystery collection.
Well, yeah, but it would be unveiled the second the first person got that cartridge. But
yeah.
But still, I don't think that's a great idea. Nobody wants to buy games that they don't know what they're getting.
No, that would be, that would be more for like us YouTubers. I think that would be a fun video. Yeah, yeah. No, I know, I know what you mean. But yeah, it's definitely Discovery. I think the biggest thing that I want is like when the collections come out, I want to be like, oh, like, even though I'll go back to Capcom, yes, that's not, we don't have a physical card, but like that captured the nostalgia, and I was excited. So I want some, you know, I kind of want to, like a Master System would do that again, right? Like I want something like where I look forward, like this collection looks awesome. I can't wait to play it.
Well, yeah, I mean those are, you're talking about their preview videos or whatever when they announce the cart and they tell you what games are on it. That's what we're looking at, I think. Which, by the way, when's their next one? When's it going to be? When are we going to know what the next collection is, or the next two collections?
It better be by next week, right?
By the end of the month, I'll say, before Indie Heroes 2 gets released. Which, by the way, when is that? Is that the last January something? Did they have a set date? Because I don't think, because I think, you know what's funny is that, like, on Amazon, where I ordered my Indie Heroes cart, the link to where I bought the Indie Heroes cart is now gone. Indie Heroes 2 is now completely gone. So I don't think you can even find it on Amazon anymore.
No, Amazon's weird. Like, they'll vanish. It's like, what?
And I'll get it from Best Buy. It's there. Actually, if you search for it and you click on it, it says currently unavailable. Yeah, well, yeah, it's not out yet, but there's no option to pre-order it, which maybe means that they had an allotted quantity and they pre-ordered every single copy they know they're getting.
Like, yes, like, it would be amazing, like in like the Renovation Collection, like give us the Master System or give us like the TurboGrafx version of that. You know what I mean? Something where like, hey, you're familiar with the console, but just different like games. And yeah, maybe there's like a couple games on there that aren't great, but you know, like Tracia or whatever. But then you have like Soldace and Valis and like Gary, you know, all the awesome shooters.
What's funny is like, a lot of people don't want bad games in their collections. I don't mind the bad games because it's sometimes really interesting to play these games to figure out why they're bad.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's just me. But then again, there are games where if it's not good and it's not bad, it's just boring. That in my mind is a bad game. That's a game I don't want.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, I don't mind that. It's just when it's like a whole like gremlin, you know what I mean? When it's something where I just feel like there's like the wow factor, right? Like for me, like I want something to be excited to get excited about, because that's part of the magic of Evercade. Because there are like millions of different ways to play different things. Yeah, exactly. Skeltrex. Boring is worse than bad. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, something just to get excited about. Like Indie Heroes 2, like I'm very excited about that. We've been able to play those games throughout the whole year. Now we get some ones that we haven't played, and that's one of the collections where I think that's like the collection for everybody, because you're going to find a few games that you like, probably ones that you don't like, but you know what I mean? It's
Sergeant Bilby says people will only buy a Total Plan console collection. Okay, console collection. I thought he was referring to the arcade collection we got. Does that have Zero Wing on it? Does that have Zero Wing on it?
Yeah, the arcade version. Yeah.
It does. Yeah, it has the arcade version of Zero Wing, which doesn't have All Your Base Are Belong to Us. But you know what? I don't think I think we're so far past our All Your Base Are Belong to Us that people have kind of forgotten about it at this point.
True. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, and then you have those ones like Tanzer. Yeah, so it's I do like a lot of other games in that collection. So, I mean, it's interesting, right? Like, you know, when you just see something that captures, that just captures the magic, when you look at that and you just get really excited. And so and that's why I like to do my initial impressions. Maybe I should go back to my initial impressions where I do get excited about it. And then I look at the cart and was the excitement still there or not? That might be something I might have to revisit. Great. Now
what's funny is like you bring that up, and I don't know if you watch Boy and His Dog, that YouTube channel that covers the Evercade cartridges, but for the Commodore 64 collection, he was excited for that because of the movie Monster game. He said that game looks awesome, and then when he got it and played it, he was very disappointed. Dude,
that was like, I think that's like the worst game on that collection, because you move so. I wouldn't say that's the worst game in the collection, because I think Street Sports Baseball is way worse. But there's one mode in the movie Monster game that kind of saves it, in my opinion, and that's the search mode where you're searching for your lost kid.
That is actually fun. That actually scenario is pretty fun. The only problem with the movie monster game though is that all the monsters play almost exactly the same. They're just different speeds,
and the controls are so slow. So here's the thing. Yes, something like water margin. Yes, like that. Like, dude, that like totally blows. So maybe the downside of Pico 1 is maybe they blew their wad and that they put too many they put too many good games on one collection. Like what if
you don't know if it was up to Pico or if it was up to Blaze to select which games they would put on there. Because I believe it would be Blaze that would select. They're like, okay, you could choose from these games, and they chose the best ones. And okay, let's do a Pico too. Well, now you don't have so many great games to choose from.
Exactly what I was going to say. Pico says, hey, we're going to give you all this. Of course, with Blaze being a new product, they're going to say, yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do that cart. Yeah, see, because listen, don't forget. I mean, we know, like, Sean and all them, they're gamers as well. So it's like there's, and I think we've talked about this. Like, there's like games they would like, and they're like, hey, for your price point, here's what you can have. And then that's probably, and then that's where the negotiations, and then maybe if they want this game, then they'd have to. But my whole thing is that, like, and again, I don't know how this happens, but if it's a thing where you can get a better quality game to sacrifice like a couple mediocre or not, then do it. But
yeah, Holy Diver would be a great game, and that's Irem. Okay, I didn't know who published it, but yeah, an Irem an Irem collection, not arcade, but Irem collection that would have to have Holy Diver on it.
I want an Irem console just to have Metal Storm on it. That would be fantastic.
Is Metal Storm an Irem game?
Yeah, it was like a later like NES game. I think it's like super expensive. They've done like they've reissued. I forget what company has like reissued that. For like,
okay, Irem did publish it too. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was published by somebody. I knew Irem I may have made it. I thought it was for whatever reason. I thought Konami released it, but it
could have been. I mean,
they did. It's just because it looks. It's because the box art looks very similar. To,
and it's that
Konami.
quality where it could have been a Konami or Capcom. It was neat because you could like the gravity like go upside down.
That was Irem. Irem did publish.
And that's why I think initially I was thinking like Konami, like, oh wow, so that's that's Irem. So yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. I know not everybody can be. Not everyone's gonna like everything, but yeah, for me, I just want to get excited. And if there's a few, like for me, like Morph Cat's a great example. That was indie. It had shorter games. I love that. I love that collection. Like for me, I have no complaints. Everything was new. Was a new experience. Despite maybe like Bubble and the Seagull game, like those being short, but I loved it. That's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really like Micro Mages, and it's really tough to the Micro Mages second quest. I could see why they didn't count that as a second game, because even as they said, well, it's a harder version and includes new enemies, but it doesn't really. It still includes all the same guys. It's just that sometimes some of the bosses appear outside of their levels.
Yeah.
But
so like for me, like a good example where I feel like they throw. And I know a lot of people love like the Codemasters collection, but like. And I know I might get some hate for saying this, but to me that feels more like a shovelware collection. Like it's just like, hey, here's a bunch of games that are thrown on there.
Okay, with the Codemaster collection, a lot of those games were actually part of Quattro cartridges. So I don't. So like not Cosmic Spacehead, Linus Spacehead. Like for example, Linus Spacehead, Elephant Antics, Stunt Buggies. And like I think it's F-16 Renegade, all of those would be on one NES cart.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying they were all on one NES cart, but because they were all on different collections. But there were 3 Quattro cartridges that Codemasters put out on the NES, and we're just getting like a quarter of that cartridge as a single game. Like Boomerang Kid was another one of those in that collection, and not Big Nose. I can't remember. Is Big Nose the Caveman? No, I think that got its own separate release. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of people like Super Skid Marks too, and I hated that game.
But I mean, like Cannon Fodder, like I like that. So, but it's
Cannon Fodder. That wasn't Cannon Fodder and Sensible Soccer. Those 2 games, they weren't originally put out by Codemasters. It's just that Codemasters acquired that license from Sensible Software.
See, and here's what's like funny. I mean, Jason. So here's what's funny. Like Big Nose, like there wasn't anything special. It was just kind of like, here's just another generic platform. You know what I mean? That's kind of the, like, I hate to say it, but like the
It did have some oddity to it.
Yeah, like the interplay.
for-
like it
and
doesn't have the, they don't. Oh, go ahead.
What's funny was for a platformer, it was actually pretty damn long too, because it didn't. I thought the game was ending, and it just kept going and going and going.
Yeah. But for me, that like it doesn't have the charm of like the Interplay collection games, right? Like something like a Boogerman or like the Cake. You know what I mean? Like that's, not that that's like a super great collection either.
I think I'd take the Codemasters collection over either of those Interplay collections, to be honest.
That's kind of funny. I know, like Earthworm Jim is like really tough, but you know what I mean. So it's kind of like that, like I don't want something like that. Like I don't want like a Codemasters where maybe it looks to be neat, but yes, and that's why I say quantity. And that's why like me in the back of my head. Yeah, Prehistoric Man. Thank you. That was like, dude,
Prehistoric Man.
Yes.
It was a good one. But
actually, I got close. I need to beat that, but that's what I mean. Like, there's a few gems, like on those collections that I'll take. But what I don't want is something where I feel like it's just like a kind of just like mediocre. Yeah, like Jason said, quantity over like it's quantity over quality. Like to me, give lesser games, and so that's why I said like I would rather have a cart with like lesser game, better games. And it's like, well, why don't you just throw that game on there? But I think, well, then you're paying for that for licensing. And so I wonder, and again, we don't know what the negotiations, but I think sometimes Blaze is given a choice. If they're given a choice of quantity, no, go quality,
well, I don't know, like what their selection process is what they're allowed to choose and not choose. It may come down to the fact that, like, a game may be so bad that they just get to add it. They have the choice to either add it or not add it. And they would just choose to add it, and it wouldn't replace another game. It's just that they have the ability to add it.
So here's a realistic fantasy collection that we'll never get, but I wish we would. So this, I may have showed this. So this is a custom. It's like all the Game Boy Color and Game Boy versions of Tetris. You got, so you got Tetris, Tetris 2, Tetris Attack, Tetris Blast, Tetris Plus, Tetris DX. And it is emulation running on it because I wanted the smaller size. I wanted the smaller size cart so I could fit it there. And then this is and then the original version on Game Boy Color is modified. Actually, is modified so that somebody made a patch where you could hit the up arrow, but you can save your score. And on all those, you could all those I can actually save. Yeah, there you go. You've got actually with a bunch of stuff. But but my point is like I keep that in there because. Yes, I have a Steam Deck. Yes, I have an Evercade. But sometimes I want to pick up something really quick and I want to play it. And Tetris is a game I can always jump into and jump out. And actually, because I have Tetris Effect, I've wanted to get better at that and go back OG. But that's what I kind of mean. Like, it's just, it's maybe 5 games. It's focused. Yeah, something like Tetris Blast isn't as great, but you have the other ones, to go ahead and make up for it. So that's kind of the thing. Less is more. We don't know. I like Romeo and Julie Cat. Like that's a weird one. I know the Mega Cat 2 collection turned out to be better than a. I Top Racer.
Was not a big fan of Romeo and Julie Cat. What did I think was the best game on Mega Cat 2? Romeo's Tale. Yeah.
Yes,
especially now that it's finished.
Oh yeah, dude, that's fun. Yeah, see, then that's
Just Revolution. It's funny. I'm looking at my rankings right now for Mega Cat Collection 2, and Romeo and Julie Cat is on the bottom. It's the very last game.
I wonder because before but like Romeo's Tale, like, dude, that game is like so nostalgic. Like since they patched and finished it, like I love that. And that I think maybe that.
Even before they did, that game was mostly there. I don't know why they. Brought it up like it was like, it's only a demo. But like almost everything was already there.
But what was great, for as much as some people complained, we got that full version before the backers got the actual NES version, since we already had it and just patch it and you're done. So I thought that was great. We'll wind things down a little bit with the wrap up. So what have I been playing this week?
What have you been playing? Or what have I been playing?
Both of us. Carson's asking.
Were you gonna? Some question that somebody asked.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was playing Alwa's Awakening, and I actually beat it last night. So I have
dang.
10 hours of footage to go through. And sort
Wow.
through. But other than that, I've actually been playing a bunch of games on Steam. I've been playing Hot Wheels Unleashed. I've been playing Peglin, and a couple days ago I started playing Loop Hero because I knew about the game when it came out and I forgot all about it, and it kind of came up in a weird way recently, and I wound up buying it because it was on sale still for like $4, $5, somewhere between it, and I started playing it. It's like, wow, this game's pretty cool. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. And Micro Majors.
So for me, like the Cathedral, I got to the boss in the Bone Church, and then I had to take a break. And
was that the Necromancer?
No.
Is that past the Necromancer?
Oh yes, yes.
Okay.
But like the Necromancer, it has this boss. I don't want to spoil anything. It has its different phases, depending on when you get the life down. And so here's what's great about it's an homage to like all those like old school games where you get to a boss, they take different forms, and then you're familiar with like the first two forms, and then you just have to the forms keep getting more difficult, and then you have to like get past those last few forms, and you're like, oh. So that's usually what I'll end up. I do that not just in Cathedral, but like a lot of like some retro games. I get to a boss, stop there, regather, go back, but what I've been really playing a lot of, I got just looking here at Steam. I got 6 hours on Atari 50, and I've been enjoying that, so much, going through, looking at all the art booklets and things, watching the videos, and of course playing the games. So I've been doing that. I've still been playing like, I got your roguelikes like Hades and Dead Cells. Like I love that. And then actually towards the end of the Steam sales, because it was normally $20, I picked up for $5, K's and the Wild Masks. It kind of reminds me like a lot of like a Donkey Kong Country, except you're this like cool like female protagonist. Or I think you're like
and
a
the
rabbit.
Wild Mask. Yeah,
you're a rabbit. It's it's kind of a really good platformer. Like I've been wanting that, but like, and I've also been
that's on my wish list somehow.
Oh, nice. Oh, hey Geeks, and yeah. And
you know what it is? Did you buy that recently? K's and the Wild Mask?
Yes.
That's why it's in my wish list, because I was looking at my activity and I saw somebody bought it and I was like, oh, what's this game? And I clicked it and I was like, oh, okay, I'll add that to my wish list.
Yeah. What I try to do, because, again, like something like that, if it's normally 20, like if it's on sale for 5, like I'd rather pick that up than a game that retails for 5 that's on sale for 2, because because these things do add up, and then it's not like Evercade where you get a bunch of cards for that. And then one game I have become competitively on is Black Widow Recharged. Like I was like somebody bumped me down to like 10th place, and I've been wanting to get to 9, 8. Like I love me like my twin stick shooters. So yeah, kind of a mixed bag. What I'm really looking forward to is Indie Heroes. Like when Indie Heroes comes out, Indie Heroes 2 comes out, I'll be rocking that on the VS and the purple.
You know what I'd handheld. Like to see? There's a genre I don't believe is on the Evercade yet, and if it does make an appearance on the Evercade, that's where I'm going to be sucked in. But there aren't any roguelikes on the Evercade, are there?
No, there's not.
Because those are the games I get sucked into.
So, yeah. And it's been like in Karg, I think it took a deeper dive, but while we're winding down, we could talk about real quick. So for me, here's what I love about roguelikes, is that I think if you're there's some people I think might look at it that, oh, I couldn't imagine starting over. But here's the thing. For me, it gives you kind of like the same fix of when you play like a score chase game. Like you'll be like, oh, I can do better just one more time. And most roguelikes, you unlock permanent abilities. You know what I mean? Like you get better weapons and better items. So you get to see that progression like Dead Cells.
Yeah, it's because when you die, you don't care because you know you're going to come back more powerful than you were before.
Yes! See that exactly, and to me, I like there is a little bit of a grind, but that's fine though because they're randomly generated levels. Like it's different, right? So that's, I mean, Xeno Crisis. I wouldn't call that like your traditional roguelike because that's just randomly generated. You can't unlock anything.
It definitely isn't. It definitely isn't a roguelike because it's not like when you start the game, you always start it the same way. You always start the same.
Exactly. Ooh. That's which roguelike.
Actually, you know what? I wonder if it would be possible to put Loop Hero on the Evercade. There's that.
But exactly. But see, the problem, like something like Vampire Survivors, which is fantastic. The problem is a lot of roguelikes, they continually have updates, they have DLC. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that it would have to be maybe something like that, or like maybe one of the orange pixel games that like Loot Hero or something like that that's been out for like 5 years and hasn't had any. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's a tough. So truthfully, the answer to that, I'd like to see a roguelike that I've never heard of before. That I've never, you know what I mean? That I've never played that just like blows me away.
This may sound stupid, but I kind of want to see Idle Slayer. Wouldn't it be interesting if we got clicker games on the Evercade?
That would be weird.
Clicker games. Idle Slayer is one I've been playing on my phone a lot. It's actually on Steam too.
Yeah.
Which is weird, but
that's so that's that's one of the things it's just something that's always like kind of like randomly changing. It gives you that risk for reward, and there's randomness. That's funny. For me though, that's kind of like I totally get that, Geeks. Like sometimes you just get like a bad weapon, but you know what though, but then sometimes you find like that great build. And you're like, okay, I can't screw this. Something that can be pressure. Like, I can't screw this up. I got the cool weapon. But yeah, you can have that. You can have that happen too. Ooh, what game is that?
This is Idle Slayer.
Idle Slayer. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, it can happen. But yeah, it would be neat just to see some new ones that we've never heard of kind of get ported over and whatnot. But definitely like more indie is great. More indie, those games we don't know about, arcade, and then surprise us. Give us a Master System. Give us an SNK.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind SNK, even if it's not the Neo Geo stuff. The early arcade stuff is fine too. But
dude, I'm glad you mentioned that. So, like the 40th anniversary SNK collection, I have that on Steam. I need to go back and play that. That's fantastic. It is all those games that you're talking about.
Yes,
like Prisoners of War, like POW. But what's cool is they have the arcade and the NES version. I mean, I haven't played the NES version, but you can if you want. Yeah, they've got all those versions of the game, and and that's what I mean. Like, have Capcom come out, but have like Little Nemo the Dream Master, and some of the and like Yonoid and some of those other games that we haven't like heard of as much.
By the way, this game is free.
Oh, okay.
On Steam, it's free, and you don't have to spend any money on it. I don't think you can. I wonder.
Does it take microtransactions? Because if it does, then I definitely don't want that on Evercade.
It does, but I have not paid a single dime towards it. I did pay for it on mobile phone just because that gets rid of the ads. But that's it. But that's the only money I've spent on this. And Steam is it's free, and you don't get any ads because Steam doesn't allow any ads in their games.
Yes, which I love that. Yeah. So yeah, I think kind of summarizing from what we've talked about in the chat, I think we just want something that just blows us like wow, have the wow factor, maybe I set expectation, not even be blown away, just the wow factor, like, hey, that looks really neat, I'm excited, take my money now. You know what I mean? That's kind of what we want, because I think didn't the Gremlin collection come out early like last year, and there were delays, and I
don't know if it was early. I don't remember it being early. Did it come before or after? It came after the Renovation collection. It wasn't the collection.
It came with it. It was
so it was like April, I think. I think that came out around April.
And there were delays, and that was the thing. There were delays, and luckily the Renovation collection was there to kind of back it up. But it would have been nice to have like two cards to like kind of blow it up, to kind of blow it out of the water. They're like, oh, I know I've had my own history with the Renovation collection, but yeah, that's what I want, is something like Morph Cat. I got excited, and I keep throwing that out there because that's something where that for me that was unknown, never heard of never heard of any of that stuff, and I was like, hey, this is neat,
Well, for me, cool, I think what actually is interesting for me is like when they get like titles from developers or publishers where they didn't previously have those. Like if they were to come out with we got Capcom games on the Evercade EXP. That's surprising enough. Yes. But what would be even more surprising is if we can get those if they could get Capcom games on a cartridge. That would actually surprise me.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, also we start getting Neo Geo games. Oh, great. That opens the door to a lot of other things. That kind of stuff.
Agreed 1,000%. But I think this year, like at least like we need to get like some TurboGrafx games. I mean, come on, something like like we have like consoles. Like I'd like to see some consoles we don't have. That would be. Yeah. So that's what. Yes, something like Galco, Forgotten Unknown. Even with even if you had me at Forgotten or Unknown, like not even necessarily arcade. Yeah, they could go crazy, but.
I don't know if we'd see a Galco Arcade 3, though. Even though they could fill it up, I don't know if those games are worth playing.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. True, but just something like Unknown, or that, hey, we're not, we're not sure if I would really like to. Yeah,
because I think Galco's first arcade game was like a trivia game, a quiz game.
Yeah, no, we don't want any of that nonsense.
And you know what the game was called? It's called Master Boy.
What was that? What was that again?
Master Boy?
No, that you're playing.
Oh, Idol Slayer. Idol Slayer.
Okay. Yeah. You're just kind of showing that there off of a.
Yeah, I mostly play this on my phone, but
yeah.
But it's funny. It syncs up with the Steam version, so
that's pretty neat. So you can go back. Ooh, I love that Yeti artwork. But more. I think we'll see more native games. I know a lot of people were wanting like an exclusive, but I think that's going to take too much time. Like I'm fine. You know what I mean? Like I'm fine with them not having like an original game or some exclusive. Like just whatever carts they come out with. Have them be exciting. Have them be solid day one. Continue to work on the EXP in the background. That's firmware updates. But don't neglect the VS. Continue to give the VS love, and then
I play the VS still more than the XP.
I think it depends if you're a handheld person or not.
I'm more of a sit down at the TV and play rather than handheld. I actually like yesterday was actually the first time I really sat down and played the EXP. And wow. I could tell you this, I cannot play Street Fighter 2 at all on that thing without my hand hurting.
Oh, wow.
But like everything else is fine. I just cannot play Street Fighter 2 on that thing at all. Like I feel like I'm contorting my hands really weird to play that.
Yeah, that'll be a good thing to test. Yeah, homebrews. Yeah, exactly.
Homebrews or indie titles, games that are new games for NES and stuff like that.
So along that, I'll tell you something that gets me that gets me excited. Let me see. Let me find this on itch.io really quick. God, itch.io's interface is horrible. Because I bookmarked. Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's the super. Yeah, it didn't make sense why to put the Street Fighter 2 on the EXP because, one, I can only really play it with an arcade stick, and two, you can't play it with two people, even though it's a one-on-one fighting game. But I guess you got to put some. If you got Capcom games, I guess you got to put Street Fighter on it.
Okay, so here's the type of thing that gets me excited. So for those of you who may or may not follow the immortal John Hancock, I love his videos because he shows homebrews and aftermarket games and stuff that I never would have known about. And he showed this, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Blazing Rangers, right? And this game is just okay, there we go. There's some screenshots. I think you have to put out the fire, and it's a puzzle. It's an NES game, and you can get it on every physical Super Famicom and all that. The only thing that I don't like is that right now you could only get it as a downloadable ROM for $13, which I think for just a ROM is quite high. If you're going to sell that, have it be a full Steam game where I can just I don't have to mess with emulators and all that nonsense. But but Blazing Rangers, this is this belongs either an Indie Heroes collection, totally. This game, check out this video. But that got me excited. I was like, oh, you know what I mean? That's kind of the type of homebrew that got me excited. That until I saw where you could only get the ROM. I was like, really? Even if it was on itch.io and it was an executable and they had like, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll mess with that on Steam Deck. But I'm like, you know what? I just don't want to mess with all that. But yeah, that's the type of thing. So I guess let's go ahead. Let's wrap up here. Let's talk about what do you got coming out on your channel next week, Crow?
Well, I probably on my main channel, the Crow Continuum channel, the one that I haven't made a video for in like a month and a half. I should probably make a video for that. So I'll probably what I was thinking about doing was like a room tour or something, and like the games that I've gotten over the past year because I hadn't really done any pickup videos. So that is something. That'll be 2 videos, I think, by itself. And then for the Evercade, I may do like a complete version of the renovation collection because the renovation collection video I have now, it's like 13 videos. So I'm thinking of just re-editing that into one video. And if you thought my Commodore 64 collection was long, that'll be even longer if I do that.
Dude, that video, admittedly, I haven't watched it through all that hour and a half, but dude, that video you've gotten like over 1,000 views on that. That's
yeah, actually what's funny was like I used to be worried about the length of the video, but I got a lot of comments from people saying they didn't really they prefer the longer videos because then they could just sit and have it on. So I was like, okay, when I make this video, I'm not going to worry about like how long it is, and it wound up being an hour and a half long, and it wound up being the best video I had about a single cartridge. It's not my best video, which that one is the EXP, but that is it far and away outperformed any other cartridge collection video that I did.
Yeah. So that's continue to do that format. Oh, so of course RMGB TV, you're evil for bringing that. So I did a Fan the Decks video. I haven't played it, but I heard him talk about that. I have it on my wish list. I think it's kind of like it's like a Bionic Commando like type, except that game looks fantastic. That would be if we got that on Evercade. But yeah, that's on my wish list. Something at some point. And so for me, so here's what I have got coming out on the Evercade effect. So my last video, I made one talking about like while I wasn't going to get like the limited, the standard edition, man, my standard edition EXP. I thought I'd make a follow-up video of why I'm not going to get the Toplin or the Irem collections.
TOA plan.
The TOA plan. Whatever, yeah. Yeah. Be sure to correct me on that on my video. Why I'm not going to get those. And so what's hilarious, of course, because like when I posted on a few things, people are like, no, that's clickbait. It's like, no, clickbait is when you post something and you talk about something different. Technically, I said I'm not getting the Evercade EXP. And then I'm like, well, yeah, no, technically I'm not. I already ordered the limited edition. You know what I mean? It would be like it would be clickbait if I
what I could argue it is clickbait because you are misleading people, even though you're technically it's good clickbait in a way. It's not.
Well,
like
you're
not talking about the title is, but your title is kind of misleading people into thinking the video is about going one direction when you're actually going the other direction.
So here's the thing, and I think people, this is a fellow YouTuber. We have to become creative with our titles, right? Like when we come up with titles like that it's not for you all because we know you all are subbed and you'll watch our videos. It's when we're trying to reach new people out there. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, so to me, like not putting a full truth is not saying a full truth is not a lie. So that's why it's like, oh, it's, and it is true. I'm not getting the standard and I put the standard picture, so that's why we do it. It's to get the attention. There's millions of us out there. We're trying to get people's attention just to see. And then that's why, like in the beginning of the video, I give a summary. So I'm like, hey, I'm not getting this. So that's what I'm doing. Doing a follow up. People can say what they will, but I feel like people who follow to know my channel and know me, they kind of.
I don't know if I do that very often.
I like to be creative. Be creative with my titles. I mean, I don't know, maybe like watching like something like Mad Little Pixel has rubbed off on me. Like he's great with the way that he titles his videos, but it's, it's what it's what you do. When you, explain different things, and whatnot. Oh yeah. 8-Bit Rangers. Yeah. Yeah. We always
Burning
say
Rangers. burning Rangers go.
I was looking for another comment. It's funny sometimes when I see certain comments and things get lost in what I want to. Yeah. So I just thought it was, a nice video. Why I changed my mind. Yeah, exactly. No,
So
but
you had the opposite effect.
no, it's the next video. Why I changed. But see, here's the thing that I want people to know. I'm not saying that. So here's what I want people to, and I think who know my channel. When I make a video, at that moment in time, is how I feel, right? Like when I do my first impression videos, how I do get excited, and then maybe I come back and play something like in television too, not as excited. I mean, as human beings, like you're allowed to do that, right? Like you can change your mind once you get something. You can give an opinion. You can do an update video. As you spend more time playing it. But the thing that was like, I wouldn't purposely plan out a series in my head. Oh, what can get the most YouTube views? Let me do this. Let me troll people. No, if something like that does happen, a while back, I know initially I said I wasn't going to get Pico 2. And then I was able to get like Xenocrisis Aftermarket when it was difficult. And I'm like, okay, now I have to have Pico 2 because I have to have the numbers be right. So, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's that's what's great about all our different channels. Everyone has their own opinions of how we feel in the moments and all that good stuff. So, yeah. Any final thoughts that you want to?
No, I'll have some thoughts next week. I'm not ready to go just yet.
Alrighty, well, yeah, we're about the hour and a half mark. This has been fantastic, and probably next week I imagine we'll come back, and Rich will be here, and Pete will be here, and all that good stuff.
Unless they aren't.
Unless they aren't, of course. You may be stuck with us again. Alrighty, so yeah, bye everyone. Thanks for watching.
I order you to go take a number 2.
Aye, aye, Captain.